So you came back after all this time for Kwon, but not for me?
All right. Well, I am Grant from Screen Rant. Luke, it's great to see you again in the chat for
Grant.
Weekend in Taipei. I watched it the other day and I loved just how fast paced, how funny it was from start to finish. What about it really drew you to want to be a part of it?
Well, I just sort of I liked John Lawler. I liked him. I just saw, he's sort of he's been around the houses a few times. He's sort of likes his job. His job is everything for him. He's a little jaded with life. I think he's sort of, I could relate to him. He's sort of an everyman, and I wanted him to be relatable to everybody that watched it, and also the way he fights, there's no sort of professional way of, throwing a punch. He just gets on with it and tries to survive another day in this dangerous business that he exists within. And I like the fact that there's a slight tongue-in-cheek humor that he has with everything he says, and I got to play a very layered character that I just wanted to feel relatable to everybody that watched him and sort of like the guy, he's made mistakes and but he's just getting through it like everybody else, and I sort of like that. I mean, I like playing characters that you can somehow relate to, and I try and bring that to each character, and some are easier than others, of course, but this one for sure there's a lot of me in him, and I like that.
I love that you were able to find so much of yourself in him and vice versa. That makes it all the more fun to really get to dive into. So you mentioned the fighting, by the way, and that is something I wanted to ask because I love how well choreographed it is, even if it is meant to sort of be, like you said, just him fighting for survival. What was it like working with the stunt team and with George to really find that balance in doing those fight scenes?
Yeah, well, it required me arriving much earlier than everyone else to start rehearsing, because we worked with the French stunt coordinator that's worked on all of Luc Besson's movies. And if you know anything about Luc Besson's movies, which I know you do, the stunt sequences are often, are always very impressive and fast and incorporate lots of different forms, and art forms. So, we were in a room for 2-3 weeks before we started shooting, and he took me through my paces. We had a French team, and then we had a Taiwanese team of stunt guys with a translator who would translate between French, English, and Chinese. So it was a couple of days where it was like, this is intense, because we're throwing things at each other. We're hitting each other with woks, and there's flames, and there's 3 different languages in this room, and none of them know each other's language. So it took a minute to get used to, but then we got into a routine and a rhythm, and there'd be a pause for translation to happen, and then we would just build on each piece every day. We built the kitchen in cardboard, and worked in a air-conditioned room from 9 to 5 every day for 3 weeks. Because obviously there's not just one fight sequence, there's several, and I also had to go back to my hotel and spend many hours on a treadmill learning how to run properly and fast for long periods, because in the film there's a huge sequence near the end of the film where I'm running through the streets of Taipei. And I'm not a runner. I don't like running. I've never liked running. I can't imagine anything worse. So I had to force myself to somehow enjoy it and build up a resistance to stamina for, being able to keep running in that heat, because Taipei in the summer, we were there through June, July, August. It's extraordinarily hot. I think the costume designers gave up with the sweat on my back after the first take. They were like, we're just gonna have to put this into the character because there's no way you're not gonna sweat. But yeah, it was great. It was really fun, and you embrace these things. But the fight sequences were really special. I really enjoyed them, and there's a lot of character to those fights. I mean, the one people are talking about a lot is the kitchen in the restaurant. I mean, that took a week to put together, and then every week we would rehearse it to make sure that my memory remembered everything. And but yeah, it was very, very fun.
Well, I love that the rehearsal really paid off, because I mean, it is so much fun to watch, and as well as the big fight with Sung near the end, which I can't wait for people to see. I got to wrap up already though, so I will get on out of here. But Luke, thank you so much for taking the time. I truly do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Nice to speak to you.
What's the handoff?
Taipei.
Absolutely not. After what happened last time, go relax. The drugs will still be here on Tuesday, and so will Quan.